and then on Thursday, and I'll tell you honestly, probably even Saturday as well, but I don't know if I can, think back to Saturday just yet. Let the weekend be what it was and let the week start for what it is. A number of you have shared that as we look at what is transpiring globally and regionally, and when we look at where our country is and perhaps what we're trying to achieve and maybe what we've attained thus far and the challenges and choices that we're going to be forced to make. A number of you have put forward some perspectives that we thought were intriguing. A government trying to respond, not necessarily always being proactive in trying to lead, because this is something that isn't transpiring in a vacuum and isn't something that you probably can easily foresee. There are so many moving parts, many things that are beyond perhaps anyone's individual comprehension, anyone's particular sphere of influence and the like. So just generally speaking, we look at what we have, and some were, I guess almost championing, hey, the government needs to not open up so quickly, because look at what this particular jurisdiction did and what's happening in this other one and so on. And then there are those who said, wait a minute, we can't live like this forever. We gotta get back to something and get things moving again and get people going back and forth. And then there are others who say, well, I love it here, but I'm supposed to be in this place at this time of year because that's what I've always done. So therefore, that's what I want to do. And others may feel, well, I'm here so long now, I'm feeling trapped and got to get out of this. And with all those things transpiring in the individual consciousness, what does that mean for the collective? And as we make those decisions, as simple as it may seem for some, others very complex and complicated and challenging. Now, where do you think we are, and what do you think you would do if you were A, the person making that final decision, or B, the person who called upon to put forward a perspective as to, well, what's your view? What do we do? And as we've seen recently, whether you're able to or whether you find it necessary to, and critiquing the constant, thankfully, negative results that we receive day on and day on, it's perhaps maybe time to say, well, does that push us to another phase in our plan, forward momentum? Does it give us a chance to reflect and, maybe take a different sort of perspective? Would it cause some to become a little bit too complacent? Will it cause others to believe, well, you know what, if something good is working, let's not loosen the reins, let's tighten to make sure. You think of the sailor going into the wind, knowing at some point, she's going to have to tack. Do you let go the helm, or do you ensure that everything is on track so that not only you arrive on a safe passage, but you enjoy the course as well? Well, give us your thought. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. And when you think of the Cayman context, is it the scenario that we are indeed this place by which everything else that happens globally has to be considered first? All right, my good boss sitting in a control room, is this plane about to take off, or are we going in for a little break, Ms. Susan? What are we saying? Yeah, or are we going to pause and take that break? She's the boss, And boy, if you're a good co-pilot, you better follow the lead. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Green Turtle Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
4 SUVs, 3 saving options, and lots of reasons you should head to the summer SUV sale now at Vamp Motors. Looking for a Ford SUV with great safety ratings? Save up to $8,000 on a new Edge and $2,000 on a new Escape. Need to accommodate an active family lifestyle? Save up to $5,000 on a 7-seater Toyota Rush. Want a fuel-efficient SUV with sporty style? Save up to $2,000 on the Toyota CHR Hybrid. Get cash back, take the full discount, or upgrade your new SUV during our summer SUV sale, where you can save up to $8,000. The summer SUV sale, Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
While the primary source of alcohol for underage drinkers is people they know, research shows that 7 to 9% of those who report alcohol use in the Cayman Islands purchase alcohol directly from retailers. Tips Off Premise helps retailers focus on verifying the legal drinking age when selling alcohol. Since the program was introduced here in the Cayman Islands back in 2005, we have trained over 400 persons and partnered with over 10 retailers. Contact us on 949-9000 to have your staff trained today. This message is brought to you by Radio Cayman and the National Drug Council.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for sharing and listening. It's 1-800-534-8255 is our toll-free line as we go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Mr. Ambassador. Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
I'm alright, and you?
Listen, if I ever comes a day, and I pray it never does, that I seem ungrateful, I'm so very thankful for everything. So I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Very thankful indeed.
Dwayne, just quickly, 2 things. And one locally and the other one overseas.
Yes, sir. Fair enough.
So which one you want to start?
Well, you know what? Let's hear the local thing first.
Okay. I think everyone in this island here that the governor wants to pass this law for gay marriage.
Well, I don't know if he wants to, and I don't wish to sound disrespectful, but he probably has been given instructions, that this is what the UK government needs to happen, and that's what is provided for, right?
Dwayne, look, I am not here. I have nothing personal between me and the governor, so I tell you before I say whatever I want to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
I have respect to this governor and everyone before him. Even I criticize majority of them. And I always, if they do something harm the Caymanian people, I will stand against any governor. And I'm not scared of no governor. I just want to make this clear, that as much you right, don't scare anybody, only scare of God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth. Second, I think the governor needs to understand those facts. Maybe he's new in the Cayman Island. I am here before him. And I start to realize that the Caymanian people are very religious people. Majority, let us say 85%, is a religious people who believe in God Almighty and believe in everything godly. And the Caymanian people show that in two ways. First, they demonstrate many times, and we see thousands. In the history of Cayman, we never see the amount of people demonstrate against something as much. The last demonstration, if you remember, front of Legislation Assembly, a couple of thousands of people come out and they show their anger about this issue. Mm-hmm. And I think the governor needs to realize two things. He needs to understand that the majority of the Caymanian people is against any form of gay marriage or bisexual marriage or same-sex marriage or whatever you want to call it. And this island legislation assembly, elected democratic legislation assembly, they send a message. Because I know, let me clear this fact to every Caymanian, which nobody can tell me it is wrong. I'm very sure all 19 members arrange the vote that way so the government don't get blamed and the opposition don't get blamed. And the message from the 19 member of Legislation Assembly was they are against it. And that is how the vote being arranged that way, so they send a clear message to England. Then the governor needs to respect the decision of elected members of Legislation Assembly representing the people of the Caymanian people, and he needs to sit down and be quiet about this matter, because the same Caymanian people will come out in the street and demonstrate and asking England to remove this governor from his position because he is going against the will of the people of this country. And I know there is people are arranging I get contact from people who are arranging a demonstration against the governor if he go ahead with this. And I agree with this move that we demonstrate asking England to remove this governor if he did such horrible thing and bypass over the will of the people of this country and force to them something going to affect their children for generation. So I am talking to this governor today with my respect, His Excellency, with my respect to him as a person. I respect him, but I don't respect the decision he takes. Mm-hmm. And I am against the decision he takes. And I'm asking him to be wise enough before he do such a horrible thing to the Caymanian people.
All right. I certainly want to maybe, circle back to that in a second, but you said there was local and overseas thing. Was that just all that you wanted to discuss on the local part?
No. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to put you off, okay? So I want to listen intently.
Yes.
Okay.
The second thing, you hear what happened in Lebanon, and my condolences to the families and to the Lebanese people. And I think, we have always to pray for the victims of any attack anywhere. And I think this attack, people think it's chemical explosion or something. But so far, the news I get, because I have friends, I call them in Lebanon, I check in them, and there is something behind this attack, and there is a new way of colonialism going to come to Lebanon. France want to colonize Lebanon again, want to send army there. There is a lot of victims, 5,000 injured, 155 people dead, 200,000 left homeless. It was like a size of a small atomic bomb or hydrogenic bomb. And it is not, we see two explosions happen, one in America for the same chemical, ammonium nitrate, and it happened another country, never that big, 15 mile away, that cover all Grand Cayman, like, a bomb explode, God forbid, in the side of one place, and then 15 mile away, all the buildings and the people injured and affected. That's something bigger than chemical, bomb or something. Mm-hmm. So I think it was kind of a bomb being dropped over this place, and the people there, the victims, I pray for them and mm-hmm. my condolences. And I think we Arab people always, in the middle of everyday war, look at this coronavirus, then this war in Iraq, and the situation in Middle East, unfortunately, is very sad. I pray for all the families there, people to understand that our main problem in the Middle East is the existence of those Zionist regime called Israel. And they are the cause of all these problems. But last thing I want to say, to those Caymanians who support Donald Trump, it is very sad, like some Caymanians, like they worship Donald Trump, and they fighting in the media over supporting Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a racist president who don't like black people, don't like Spanish people, who don't like anyone but white people. And I think racism, and the sad part is the majority of those who fighting in the media in Cayman to support Donald Trump, they are black people, and they have to be ashamed of themselves.
But if I then, okay, well, if that's it, you know what? Thank you for sharing your part. Hey, it's a what? About 5-1, if the clock is right. Hey, time ticks and waits for no one. Well, who wants to weigh in on what was shared, or you like everything you say? You know what? Sometimes let it be said and not answered. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. But similar to what the caller sort of alluded to, we may live on this little speck on the map sometimes when we look at it, and fail to appreciate the significance of the global sort of environment and its impact on our economy, our employment, our environment, and on our society. But we may also sometimes fail to appreciate that in this whole game of life, our actions and consequences impact and affect almost everybody, and certainly more than just those who are physically close to us. And it may be that there are always knock-on consequences. Now, does that mean that as we look perhaps at the unfolding geopolitical landscape, as we look at our own constitution and political environment, are we aware of the things that happen? Hoping, honestly, that as we look at the politics, whether it's the people we've elected to the Legislative Assembly, whether the people who have been appointed with great respect, to the office of the governor, or in the echelons of the senior civil servants and the like, that we don't look at the individuals. Maybe we look at the institutions, or we look at the actions or inactions, and we, hopefully from an informed perspective, understand why some things happen and why they happen the way they do and why they don't happen at all. And if there's ever a behavior of a person in a particular office, that behavior goes against the green of the office. So, as an example, we have a statutory authority, and a member of that statutory authority, or that board as we would call it, or the chairperson, the chairman, male or female, and that behavior, whether it's an appellate body or board, or whether it's the sort of board of first instance, if that behavior, that person or the influential person isn't in keeping with the letter and sort of spirit of the law, or it may be something that you think, well, wait a minute, it's not quite exactly what it is that we expect it to be. What do we do about it? Sometimes it could be malicious, other times it may just be misguided. But again, it comes down to a populace that is informed, is engaged, and is willing to actively demonstrate. Doesn't mean that you hold placards and you go in the streets in a violent way. It just means that you're saying, wait a minute, that's not what it is. I believe that the caller's perspective, that he thinks that the populace will, go and physically indicate, well, this is what we want. Well, maybe times are changing, but maybe they won't. But if we did, can we do it in a way that ensures it's going to be something that it's worthwhile? Got the news to take. We got some guests line up in short order. So what do we do, Miss Susan? Quick call or take the news? All right. Boy, once Christmas comes, we'll get candy. But right now we're going to the news. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
While the Cayman Islands borders remain closed until October 1st, all persons wishing to travel inbound on board a repatriation flight must register their inbound travel request with Travel Time and complete the online form at www.explore.gov.ky/travel-time in order to receive pre-travel approval. Travelers who have not completed this process will not be permitted to board a repatriation flight. Questions or concerns pertaining to inbound travel should be directed to Travel Time by emailing traveltime at gov.ky or by calling 649-6913 between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Lebanon's government has resigned amid mounting anger over the explosion on Tuesday that devastated parts of Beirut and left more than 200 people dead. The announcement was made in a national TV address by the Prime Minister. Many people have accused the country's leaders of culpability through their alleged negligence and corruption. And Chicago police will limit access to the city's downtown after a night of violence and looting following reports of a police shooting. Police Superintendent David Brown said the area will be restricted and a heavy police presence will continue until further notice. He said the shameful destruction was fueled by misinformation about a suspect shot by police on Sunday. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
your voice, your choice, your radio.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Sports fans, tune in to Radio Cayman's Sports Extra Show.
Hi, I'm Bruce Lee Colson.
Sports Extra.
This and every Tuesday night, right here on Radio Cayman, 89.9 and 93.9, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Sports Extra, from 7 to 8 p.m., right here on Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra.
Proudly brought to you by King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Proudly sponsored by High Fashion and Design Studio, truly your one-stop fashion studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue. Call 945-4415.
Register now for the 3rd Annual Chamber of Commerce Economic Forum, taking place online on Friday, August 14th. This year's theme, Rebuilding a Better Cayman, will tackle the effects the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the local and regional economy and how the private and public sectors can work together to create a more durable and more sustainable future. Don't miss out. Visit caymanchamber.ky to register for a full day or half day today. Corporate ticket bundles available. In partnership with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. The forum is made possible thanks to sponsors CUC, DART, Kensington Management Group, Cayman Enterprise City, and Hurley's Media.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and a few more minutes of some open line to make sure that we can, momentarily join our friends from Rotaract Blue. But let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. This is Beulah. How are you?
Hey, Miss Beulah. Good afternoon to you, Mom. Pray all is well.
All is well. Giving God thanks.
Amen. Amen. Yes, Mom.
Yes. Absolutely. So I wanted to speak to you a little bit, and basically to, I guess, to your listeners as well, on this whole domestic partnership bill that's going through. I want to speak to it on two different viewpoints, or from two different aspects, right?
Yes, Mom. Yes,
I want to do the first one because the first one has the least to do with me, and the second one has the most to do with my perspective.
Okay.
And the first one would be the earthly perspective, the human perspective, the fleshly perspective, which would be the fact that everyone calls us a democracy, parliamentary democracy, yeah? And as such, we exercise that right that was given us, and by whose name we are called, which is a democracy. And we went into the House, and our elected representatives represented our views. Some went as much as to do a small polling to find out what his constituency wanted. And then when that vote came, that vote is rejected by the persons and people who uphold our democracy and our parliamentary system of government, when we did exactly what we're supposed to do. And they say, no, that's not good enough. So are we not a democracy then? Does our vote not count? Does majority voices mean nothing? Right? And then if that's true, then what are we? Tell us what we are. Be honest, right? That would be my first perspective, and I'm just going to leave that there because for me, that's the least. There are so many people that are better at making this argument than I am, but I think someone needs to make that argument. My second perspective is really the one that governs my life, which is the godly perspective, yeah?
Yes, Mom.
And so looking at it from there, I know a lot of people, and sometimes we as children of God, as Christians, we make our own way hard because we fail to follow the prescribed law, the prescribed rule that was left to us by our Lord Jesus Christ, which is in all things love. Yes? And so sometimes our languages can be harsh and be a bit condemning, and that's not our role. We're not here to hate or to condemn. I get to condemn no one. But there are a prescribed set of rules that I must adhere to if I am going to say I'm a Christian. And this particular bill, and even the thought of a marriage of same-sex partners of any kind, is wrong for me, and it's something that I could never, ever accept. And, you know, we look at it, and I speak to people because I want to hear what people are feeling, and I really feel for them because they're in love, and they want this security, and, you know, wouldn't I want people that are in love to be able to have that life and to do that? And my answer would be, the quick answer would be, yes, of course. But then the greater answer, the truer answer is that love permissible? And that's the thing.
Do you think that the objection, if I can use that word, on the part of those who maybe disapprove, is it to what they see as marriage and marriage as between male and female, or is it the whole thing in its entirety? In that,
I can speak only for me, and it's the whole thing in its entirety. Because marriage in today's language has become this contract between people, right, where we go either before a minister of the gospel or a justice of the peace or before some dignitary, and we make these vows of commitment to one another, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But if we go all the way back to what we as Christians, and myself included, go back to, which would be the written word of God, the gospel, the history that tells us what we should be and what we should believe, then when we go back to that, we see one thing happening in the Garden of Eden, and that is God creating a woman. And then God is presenting or giving this woman to this man, and this man is saying, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. And this was their wedding kind of thing. So a wedding, when I think of wedding, whenever two people come together, this really should constitute a marriage. Hence, thou shalt not fornicate, no sex before marriage, blah, 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 da, da, da. And we have to look at it in its entirety, and that's why it's wrong. Because they have no God-given right to this love. Doesn't mean they won't love. But when they love, they're outside of God's law. They're outside of his creative love, right? And that's the problem that I have with it. And I feel for them. I understand it, but it's just like when I was raising my children. There were times that my children wanted something so badly. I could see the pain in it, but I knew that what they wanted was not right, and it should not happen, and therefore I had to say no.
In love, you said no. Yeah. Because of that love you have, as parents, sometimes we need to say no, is what you're saying. Okay. So what do we do then? I mean, well, I'll listen to you as you share.
My thing is, what do you do with sin, Sterling?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with sin? You try to teach people, and you pray for people, and you hope for repentance, because if they could just see it from the perspective of what God is saying, they will understand that this thing that they claim they have a right to, they actually have no right to. And that's the whole thing. It's not that they don't have a right to marriage. They don't have a right to that love. That already is an illegal love. It's an illicit love. It is a love that God will not and cannot bless. And if God will not and cannot bless it, then am I greater than God that I can bless it and allow it? I'm not greater than God. I'm not greater than him. And I feel it. I know people, and I'm not going to do this thing of where I know plenty gay people or I know plenty whatever. But let's face it, this is a small place, and there are people that we know that we love, and they're in this lifestyle. But that my love for them cannot legitimize what God has said is illegitimate. It cannot do it. And therefore, I cannot do it. So I pain sometimes almost as much as they pain. But the answer is still, it cannot be. And to try to disguise it as a domestic partnership is an insult an insult
So
to our faith.
if it was something, a civil union, used the word earlier, contract, some sort of thing that gave the same sort of rights, privileges, obligations, all the other things that we believe accrue to people who are married, but it wasn't called or didn't come across as marriage. Would that be something that you think the community would be willing to accept?
No, it won't. But here's the thing, Sterling. I think it's going to happen anyway.
Well,
it's going to happen anyway, and the people are not going to accept it, and it's not going to change any hearts, and it's not going to change any behaviors, and that's an issue. But I remind my Christian brothers and sisters, I will remind them, and I will take this opportunity to remind them again that this world is not our world. I'm not fighting to save this world. This world is headed for destruction. It will be destroyed. God will bring in a new world. I am trying to save the souls so that the souls will not be destroyed with this world order, with this system of government, and the entire system of government. All right? Because when man fell, we lost the dominion for this. So I'm not trying to say that. I'm not going to the courts to try to fight it because I understand that I'm not of this world. When Jesus himself stood before Pontius Pilate and he said to him, "Are you a king?" And he said, "My kingdom is not of this world." And we need to remember that. We fight all of these battles, but we cannot save this world. We must save the souls out of it.
I think, as I listen to you, certainly we have a lot that's going to be unfolding. Some of us may believe we know what's coming, others may have an inkling, others will be caught flat-footed. But as we, ask you, any other thoughts you want to leave with us before we take the break?
No, just that they consider just this one, yes. One more thought.
Yes, please.
I feel for the governor and all the others that must do this, and they feel they must do this. But I pray that they understand when they do it what they have done, and that what they are doing now will not be able to be turned back, and it will only be the beginning of sorrows. I want them to understand that when they do this, there are Christians here that will never accept it. They will teach their children, as we have always taught our children, never to accept it. This will not change our belief in our heart, but it will bring division and it will bring pain to this country, and I just want them to understand that.
Yes, ma'am. But thank you for taking time to share your perspective. I pray you have not just only a very enjoyable rest of today, but a blessed and safe week, and those to come ahead as well. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay, God bless. Well, with that, let's just pause and take a break. But we invite you to join us when we return. We join our friends from Rotaract Blue for a brief discussion, and then 1:30, Pastor Bob and Pastor Alex will join us. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Know the signs of a faulty septic system. Sinks and/or toilets that drain slowly, floor drains that overflow, or sewage that is visible outside your home are all signs that your on-site wastewater treatment system is not working properly. If your septic system is faulty, now is the time to fix it to prevent further damage in the event of a storm. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
Register now for the 3rd Annual Chamber of Commerce Economic Forum, taking place online on Friday, August 14th. This year's theme, Rebuilding a Better Cayman, will tackle the effects the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the local and regional economy and how the private and public sectors can work together to create a more durable and more sustainable future. Don't miss out. Visit caymanchamber.ky to register for a full day or half day today. Corporate ticket bundles available. In partnership with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. The forum is made possible thanks to sponsors CUC, DART, Kensington Management Group, Cayman Enterprise City, and Hurley's Media.
BIP messaging app made simple. Keep the good times going, even when you're social distancing. Download BIP and be together. Message, call, or video chat with friends, family, co-workers, anyone. Touch base with 1, 2, or 10 people at the same time. Shh. Send secret messages. Translate multiple languages. And you get free app messaging available only on the Digicel network. It's your call. So make the most of it. With BIP, stay connected. Start living. Get bipping. Download BIP today.
This is an important announcement from Customs and Border Control. Due to a record number of imported goods and the potential for inclement weather due to hurricane season, customers are required to collect their packages as soon as possible. If you are using an agent to clear your goods, please ensure that you have completed the appointment of agent form and send it to your agent 48 hours prior to your goods arriving. For persons self-clearing goods, it will be necessary for you to log in to CBC's online portal by visiting www.cbc.gov.ky and register at least 48 hours before your shipment arrives.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for allowing us to continue our partnership with all of our community agencies, in particular our Menace Service Group, so that together we can recognize great things happening in our society. And as many hands draw close and work in tandem, we make things even better and stronger and healthier. Right? So I'm honored good friends from Rhode Blue will join us. Now, as we get settled and as we share with our listening public, perhaps we'll ask, maybe who knows how we'll use it. So I'll ask you for a brief intro, share with us, and then Ms. Warden. So, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having us here. My name is Kathleen Zunyakatira, and I'm the Community Service Director for Rotaract Blue, Cayman Islands. And
I'm Andrea Bodden. I'm a prospective member for Rotary Blue of the Cayman Islands. And we're here to talk about our signature project of ours, started in 2015 by past President Alice. We hold the Stress Down Day fundraiser every year in August.
Yeah, and we really need the corporate sponsors to really support us in this initiative. So depending on the decision of the board at the time and the results of, we raise school shoes for children.
And we also collaborate with the Department of Children and Family Services to provide school shoes to kids that are coming in for the school year. And they provided us a number of kids that are in need, so that this removes us from any conflicts in deciding who gets shoes and who doesn't get shoes.
Yeah, you do the work, let the objective, impartial assessment by those who know within the government agency.
Yes.
And that's why, your initiative, put your best foot forward.
Yes, that's it.
No pun intended, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so this year our fundraiser is on the 14th of August, which is this Friday. So we encourage people to wear orange, and we chose the color orange, which is for anti-bullying. So this year we've identified over 130 children that need school shoes, and with that number we have 50 which are in Cayman Brac.
So shared across the entire country.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow, 130 and
over 130.
3 islands, a third are almost on the back there, boss, right?
Yes.
Wow. Ms. Warden.
Yes, I'm really excited for August 14th. So we really urge people to wear orange. So it's our showing anti-bullying for the school, and with that we can also raise awareness and for this project to give back to the community by giving kids that are in need shoes for this coming school year. Especially, it will be a great help for them, especially after the whole COVID situation. So,
Yeah, so truly. So we really need the support of all the corporate sponsors. So, to just encourage you to, wear orange, or, you can help us by donating for this great cause.
So for the individuals or the corporate entities that
Yes,
want to
yes.
participate, they wear orange.
Yes.
How do they get the funds to you? What else do they need to do in order to help you to raise the funds, partner with DCFS, and to ensure that our school children have at least another pair of shoes that they can take with them for the school year?
Okay, so they can reach out to us on for our socials. We are Rotaract Blue, and then or you can send us an email at communityservice.rb@gmail.com. So when you can send us an email, we can give you more details in terms of how you can put the donations to us. I know for some people, maybe they're not able to physically give us the cash or the check. We do have where you can send in a wire transfer for those donations. Yes.
Sort of just
Yes.
make the electronic transfer on
Yes,
that.
yes. So that's possible. So they can just reach out to us via our socials. That's again Rotaract Blue, or you can reach us at communityservice.rb@gmail.com.
It's amazing, man. I mean, if I went to school and got a new pair of shoes, that would be
I'll be
handy.
pretty happy.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And I think there's so many that especially this time, where their parents, their families are already challenged with maintaining their employment,
Yes.
covering the increased costs. It's another way that together we can make it a little bit easier and perhaps more manageable
Yes.
for many of our families.
Yeah, for many of our families. So we can see that the number has increased from what we supported last year as well. So there's a great need for us to be able to help these children as well. So
To whom much is given, much is required, and
yes,
that need
exactly.
is growing. And I'm glad that, as you recognize, even though you're here physical in Grand Cayman's, the majority of the club, you're still able to ensure that the benefit accrues to, the entire country. Those in the bracket are not excluded.
Yes.
One family.
Yes.
Now, from the perspective, Ms. Bodner, of looking at our school children, if I may ask, then, is this for primary, middle, and high, all of our children, or have you looked at it from we're going to cater to this particular age group, or it's do you know?
I guess we base from the need list that we get from the Department of Family and Children's Services. Yes, and from then on, we base what we get shoes for, based from the money donations that we get. Then we're gonna get those shoes according to the shoe size, and if people prefer to donate in other ways besides giving money, you can also donate the same shoe size as you have. So I'm a size 6, so I'll donate something that's size 6. So I'll probably cater
size
to
6.
the little
Yes. Yeah. So in terms of identifying that, this was really Department of Children and Family Services. So they have identified for us children from within a very specific range. We have very little kids as well, and then we have all the way that are almost like teens. So they have, and then obviously it has to in terms of the conflict there.
It makes it objective.
Yes,
it makes
exactly.
it impartial, and as you shared, it makes it. They know their clientele. They know what they're doing, and they recognize. I'm sure, like so many, they're very grateful for this, other armor partnership to be able to assist our communities.
Yes.
There's so much that we have to consider these days.
Yes.
It's amazing. Now, I wanted you to talk more about your initiative, but I had a query from someone who reached out to me and said, Rotaract Blue, I think I know about it. They're, junior armor Rotary between this age and this age. I think it's up to 9 to 5. I think it's your age group. No, 35. So tell us a little bit about Rotaract Blue. When you meet, what's your sort of demographic?
Okay, so we're a nonprofit organization, and we're founded in 2007, and our sponsor club is Rotary. So previously, actually, our age limit used to be
18?
No, 30, but this has since changed.
Yeah.
So
95.
Yeah, no.
So I'm going to join you.
So so that has changed. So so people, anyone can join us. Yes, anyone can join us.
We have Zoom meetings every Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And our president, Alana, she plays music before the meeting starts. I think the last one was soca. So she's just jamming to the people who are waiting with her until the meeting starts. So, yeah. It was also President Alana that invited me to join the Rotary Blue. And the last meeting or celebration that I attended, that's when she announced the age limit that she's taking it away so that more people can join Rotary Blue, and the more people, the merrier.
And that's the thing too, as we look at how the world is changing, we recognize not just inclusion, but people sometimes like to be able to move within the groups and not have some of the arbitrary limitations that we may put on things. There was a time when this is women only and this is men only, or this is for this group or for that group. But it's beautiful to have these families interblending so that you engage with people who are younger or older, and you get a different perspective. You find that you become more energized, more knowledgeable, sometimes more enthusiastic about things. And looking at the lens, of yours as opposed to mine, we see things that we appreciate more, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's
and
just
then
fun.
we just establish friendships, and then we're doing community work as well. So
And we're so charitable, we include West Bears. I mean, Miss Borden, oh man! But I'm glad that you're able to share with us. I think it's important that we see that this is a small community and there is growing need, and there are many who sometimes don't appreciate the extent to which that need is literally, a co-worker or a neighbor, the people we don't realize that a little extra hand could really, or in this case, an extra foot.
Yeah, exactly.
So put your best foot forward, huh?
Yes, put your best foot forward. So this Friday, August the 14th. So we encourage you to wear orange. If you're not able to, can you, donate for this great initiative.
All right. Let's look at my shirt. I think this is orange. I think. No. Orange? No.
Oh, I was hoping.
You're hoping?
Yeah, I don't own anything orange, but I'm gonna buy something orange today.
Yeah. I was, I went through my wardrobe and I think I got most everything. Always blue. And it was blue.
Yes. Okay.
And I thought, it's just a blue closet. Which shirt should I wear? The blue one. So I got 5 in this case. No, but just showing that support for anti-bullying in and of itself. Now, really commend you for it. I really recognize and respect not the collaborative effort only, but the willingness to make yourselves available to strengthen your communities. As we close our discussion, what else do you want to share with us? Perhaps, Ms. Kathleen, start with you first. Remind us, it is this Friday. We can not only wear orange, but we can, support monetarily or provide a shoe. But what else do you want to share with us about the initiative or Rotary Blue? And then Ms. Borden,
so just want to say that again. We just want to encourage everybody. August 14th. This is this Friday. We have Put Your Best Foot Forward, and we're calling out for everybody to, if you're able to donate, you're able to wear orange on this day to help raise money for these school children. And we are, as we mentioned earlier, we're trying to get school shoes for over 130 school children within Grand Cayman and also Cayman Brac.
There you go.
Yes.
And you can contact us or email us through our socials in Rotaract Blue on Instagram, and also at communityservice.rb@gmail.com if you want to reach out to us, ask more information, or just say hi. That would be nice. To us. And
yes, well, no, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure, and that's where Ms. Susan reminds me. You're not as young as you look. When you were saying socials, I'm going, we can get together. Oh, she means social media. Oh, okay.
Okay.
And instead of
social media. Yes.
I know you.
Yes. So if you have a question, you can just reach out to our social media sites, or you can send an email as.
Perfectly.
Yes, Bianca's mentioned, yes.
And the meetings are on, as you mentioned, by Zoom still on Wednesdays.
Every 6 p.m., yes.
All right.
Yes, every other Wednesday.
And it's like an hour here. You guys are very disciplined with your time. You young professionals, you're out.
We do try. We don't follow the island time as much as we try.
Yes, so yes.
We'll have a conversation, you Borden, Tony. You just really. No, man. But I commend you for it. I really always appreciate how our people are so engaged and the willingness to each one help as much as we can. It makes it a better society. So thank you. For what it's worth, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much for having us. Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
It's a pleasure. Well, this Friday, let's all wear orange collectively we can. Let's contribute and let's ensure that we do put our best foot forward. Give our school children in need and a pair of shoes that they can go and who knows? The roads are not like how they used to be, but it's still not as easy to traverse as we would like them to be. So enjoy the rest of your week. Let us know at any point if we can help you, not only to celebrate, but to share with the public any of your initiatives.
Of
All right.
Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. All right, to our listeners, we're going to pause and take a break. Let's give Miss Susan a little bit more to do. I mean, that's not like she doesn't have anything else. Well, when we come back, Pastor Bob and Pastor Banks will be our guests, and we're going to talk about the Domestic Partnerships Bill. I believe that's what we're going to talk about. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19 and get ready for the hurricane season, it is important to also protect our environment, which ultimately helps us live healthier, happier lives. Let's always remember, proper disposal of masks and other PPE, as with your normal garbage, avoid littering, and do not include any trash in your recycling. Protect yourselves and keep our islands clean. For full guidance, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
I'm Acting Superintendent Brady Banks of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. Speeding, drunk driving, and distracted driving are all extremely dangerous behaviors that can cause accidents and loss of lives that affect not only those involved, but their families and friends alike. We wish to remind all motorists, practice safe driving habits every time you get behind the wheel. Drive within the speed limit and don't drive if you've been drinking. Give 100% of your attention to the road when driving. Equally important to note, we are now entering into our rainy season. Historically, we tend to see increased road collisions due to weather conditions, often resulting in poor visibility and wet road conditions. Remember, extra attention is required if you're driving, as well as increased vigilance of other road users. Drive safely, Cayman Island.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advance notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. And as we are about to get engaged in our next discussion, if they don't mind, on behalf of Rotaract Blue, ask our individuals as well as our corporate citizenry to be a part of their dress down on this Friday as they support our school children in an initiative they call, Put Your Best Foot Forward, providing school shoes for 130 students, 50 of whom are on the BRAC, through the partnership with the Department of Children and Family Services. So I know we have wonderful people who are very kind and gracious and generous in assisting, and so thank you for that. So as you wear orange to symbolize anti-bullying, well, thank you for that. Very, very grateful. Yes. I was going to say, I'm very grateful that as I look around the table, both Pastor Alton Eubanks and Parents, Torrance Ball for joining us. Maybe one of the few times we're having a camera actually helpful. Pastor Alton has his orange on display. So, gentlemen, thank you for sharing with us. Help us to understand the perspective, not just from the Cayman Ministers Association, but perhaps from the community's perspective. Maybe, if it's appropriate, I want not only to defer to you because of who you are and what you represent, but as seniors in our society in terms of leadership, in terms of experience and expertise, both scriptural as well as temporal, to be able to get a perspective where we are and maybe look at the political sort of legislative meanderings that have unfolded in our society to appreciate where we are. Perhaps, Pastor?
Thank you so very much for having us today. We really do appreciate it. And we are members of the executive of the Cayman Ministers Association.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, we have been following with great interest and lately concern with what has been unfolding regarding the Domestic Partnership Bill. And we appreciate this opportunity to share the perspective not only of the Cayman Ministers Association, but the perspective, we believe, of the vast majority of pastors, churches, and I would say the populace of these islands. We are, as I said, are very concerned about the recent move to bring into law this domestic partnership bill, because we believe that it is not only against the very clear teachings of Scripture, but also it will have a very detrimental impact, we believe, upon our children and generations to come. I'll probably allow Pastor Alton to make some opening statements.
Yes. Well, thank you, Sterling, for inviting us, allowing us to come along to share. And am I loud enough?
Just want to pull your mic
I can pull it close. I don't want
like
to
1.5 millimeters closer.
I don't want to overmodulate and destroy people's eardrums or whatever.
That's for Sunday.
That's no. I'm too tired for that even on the Sunday now. But I think Pastor Bob and I were just reflecting before we came in, and he made a statement. He never thought he'd live to see this day, this particular set of circumstances. And I said, I remember when I was just a youngster standing in the town hall field in West Bay, and I heard some of the older persons talking about the fact that Khrushchev had posted missiles, nuclear missiles in Cuba. And my thought then, well, I guess I'll never live to be old. Well, that has passed. The Bay of Pigs have passed, and those were, in those days, those were crises. And here we are dealing with multiple crises. We're dealing with a pandemic, one in every 100 years. And we happen to be, if we live long enough to be able to write to our grandchildren or great-grandchildren, we lived through this thing. May God preserve us so that we may do that. But this particular one, this kind of crisis, it's not a natural disaster. It's a man-made disaster, which takes us back then to the very origins of it. If it is man-made, the ideas that people are promoting and pushing forward, and then using every bit of evil strategy, including social shaming, which is the main weapon to get organizations and individuals to stop speaking out against certain things, or to supposedly align with them, and it's being that heavy clout is being used, persuading countries and persuading people that this is a right move. It is a very interesting in all these ramifications time in which we live, but we who have been raised with Christianity as our foundation, we understand that this is, in a sense, is nothing new for the church, for Christians to face these kind of diabolical attacks on the very foundation of our culture, civilization even. The church itself was born in a time when in the Roman culture, what we're talking about would not even been a subject for discussion except in the context of the church. And so we're not in dismay in the sense that, oh my goodness, the church has never faced something like this. The church has faced. But the thing that we're concerned with is the fact that it is this generation, our people, our children, and our grandchildren that are facing this reconfiguration of reality in the minds of people, so that the language and the agenda is now given over to somebody else to decide. And that's one of the things that I think that it's important for us as individuals and as the church, as a community, regardless of what Parliament does, regardless of which direction it had gone, whatever our government does, whatever His Excellency does, whatever the Foreign Commonwealth Office does, whatever anybody does, we need to know what is right and what is wrong. And that the right and wrong is not an arbitrary decision based on whatever happens to be the current popular sin, so to speak. But there's something much more absolute and foundational that never changes. So we need to, as Christians, and local people, whether or not we say we're born again Christians or not, but have that Christian ethos to refuse to allow the LGBT promoters to control the dialogue, because they're controlling the dialogue and they're saying, and they're setting the social agenda. And so, for example, if somebody opposes their viewpoint, then we're accused of hate speech. But they do not allow the opposite side to say, hold a minute, you oppose our view, that must be hate speech too. Because to be logical, to oppose, if someone opposes someone's point of view or position, if that is hatred, then it doesn't matter which side it is on. So that the LGBT community that opposes our position on homosexuality or same-gender marriage or whatever the case may be, well, then opposition is hatred. And we have enough intelligence to know that opposition cannot be conflated and confused with hatred. Otherwise, all social dialogue has to cease. You cannot have a discussion in Parliament or any place else. And those are some of the extra dangers facing us. That this reconfiguration of what is norm and normative is being designed and directed by people who have only one thing in mind: they must have their way.
So if I then could ask, go ahead, Pastor.
Yes. I think one of the things that we forget in this whole discussion and this equation is that God is the one who started the whole process of human life. We did not come into the world by ourselves. Neither did our parents or their parents. And so I think we forget that, or perhaps we don't believe that God is the one who started the process of human life, and He's the one who is going to end it. And He did not leave us to grope in the dark as to how we should live. He gave us a book to direct us so that we can live successful lives. And the closer we stay to that book in following it, the more successful we would be and the more meaningful will be our lives. And to me, one of the things that we are constantly forgetting, marginalizing, or completely rejecting is that someday we are going to stand before the eternal God to answer for what we have done with our lives. And I am very concerned the way the international community is really putting pressure to bear on countries like ours that decide to stand for certain rudimentary principles. I thank God that our leaders here took a firm stand regarding COVID-19 to give very clear and decisive leadership. And this is what we need to do concerning this whole matter of same-sex marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
if I then, because I'm grateful, as I shared at the outset, and I say that sincerely, not only, as you said, as executives of the Cayman Ministers Association, but as individuals in your own right, as people, I think, the wider community, not because you're pastors only, but because of, your intellect, your experience, expertise, the positions you hold. And maybe, Pastor Allison, as you shared, the notion that for a society to be healthy, there needs to be a semblance of public discourse about things that may be difficult, but can be held publicly in a civilized way with an appreciation that point A, point B, point C, and so on. That is evidently being lost across the globe on so many issues, from economics to environment to social to everything else. But in the Cayman context, since this is where we are now impacted, we recognize the international influences. Maybe could I then ask your guidance as we invite an understanding of either what has transpired, what may be transpiring, what this thing may lead to down the road relative to constitutional advancement, relative to the ability to stand for election and who can vote, to different things, immigration status, citizenship. I mean, there's so many other things that could happen. Don't want to get into there. I just want to focus on this one now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Pastor,
let's think of the principles that we're dealing with right now. We know that the UK has taken a position against the recent actions of China vis-a-vis Hong Kong,
mm-hmm.
because China has imposed legislation on Hong Kong against the will of the people.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference, is my question, between that and this?
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference? Can somebody out there tell me in principle, what is the difference? And obviously, maybe that's a rhetorical question. And the difference does not exist.
Yeah.
And so our position here in Cayman is saying, hold a second. Yes, we are a British subject, a territory. But are we to be treated along the same sort of a ideological, imperialistic way of dealing with us,
mm-hmm.
as happened back a few centuries ago? You see, there's all the different kinds of imperialism
mm-hmm.
and colonialism, but this idea that what we have here is we see a new legal position, right, that's being imposed by secular Eurocentric countries. And of course, the United Kingdom itself isn't happy with the Eurocentric ideals at a lot of different levels. But they're saying, they're kowtowing and saying, okay, this is what the European courts have, blah 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 blah. But my point is, but their position is purely arbitrary. There's
mm-hmm.
no moral or scientific basis for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's happening is that desires are being confused with rights, but then they're being imposed on us down here in the Caribbean, because after all, what are we?
Easy pickings.
We're easy pickings.
Okay. So then, go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, it seems to me that we are almost being whipped into submission.
Mm.
And it's unfortunate when that happens. If the vast majority of our people do not want that, if our laws are based on sound biblical principles, and we have followed these down through the years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, human sexuality is clearly defined in Scripture. The conventional family, marriage, husband and wife, man and woman, and unfortunately now have to define that. That has been the case from time immemorial.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, none of us would exist.
Simple biology.
How can we now just want to sweep away that very important foundation of civilization and the very existence of humanity?
Yeah, and here's the thing too. As we know, we've read the Constitution. We know that we cannot forget this, that our Constitution does provide protection for and the right of every adult to marry and form a family. What our Constitution does not do, though, is devolve that right,
Mm-hmm.
to a citizen to redefine marriage and redefine family. Because if you do that in that particular niche, where else do you do it?
Okay.
It's already in the Constitution that if you have, whether it's two men or two women or whatever it is, hey, you have a right as an adult, a consenting adult, to marry and form a family. But you do not have a right to, you're not devolving the constitutional right to an individual to decide, oh, well, I don't really want to marry in this conventional way. I want to marry in a sort of a multi-amorous situation because that's what I want. There's no reason, based on how this thing has gone so far, to say that cannot be a reality. In other words, we want a multiple, 3, 4 men, 3, 4 men, women, whatever the case may be, because they have conflated desires with rights.
Mm-hmm.
And ignoring, once you throw out the Bible, then it's up to an individual's arbitrary decision as to what is right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And whether we say, well, that the courts must decide. The courts are run by human beings who, if they themselves have thrown out the Bible as being the absolute, then it's going to be human ideas and human ideologies.
Right. So then, could we then ask, again, within a desire to sort of understand a little bit more, so when I have conversations and listening, as an individual, I can be better informed, but also to allow people a chance to gain a perspective, maybe become more convinced in what they're thinking, maybe become reassured, perhaps even to become informed. But Pastor Allison, you referenced just now the UK and the Chinese example in relation to what's happening there. How is that different now? Some have equally shared, well, our own Honorable Premier has said when it comes to the notion of the beneficial registry, well, that's an overreach. If you're doing it there, then if that's the case in that instance, like your example, is that similar? I mean, I'm not trying to be political in any which way inflammatory. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, but it's a good point, Sterling, because here's the thing. It seems that so many of our people, citizens and politicians alike, are really, they get more hot under the collar when it has to do with economics and the dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but there's a whole lot more, there's a greater volume and a lot more vociferousness when it comes to the fact that our economy is being affected. But an economy that's based on a morality or a society that has no morality is a very dangerous one. When we look at what China is doing, we understand that China is a communist country, a totalitarian country. And we really can't expect anything different. I mean, it was rather stupid for the UK to think that the arrangement they made with China over Hong Kong would really last very long, because it is the nature of the beast of communism dictates that it wouldn't go that way. But the UK is a democratic country, yes, a democratic monarchy or whatever we call it, but nevertheless it is a democratic country, and we would expect more of that ethos to be reflected in everything that it does. And so here we are at a point in time when our people are talking about, hey, maybe it's time to go independent. And those who say no are saying it, well, because it will affect the bottom line, my dollars and cents, my bank account, not the morality, not the family, not the very foundation of society. Sterling, you've made it possible for me to be hot under the collar in here. Because the temperature, because the temperature is rather warm and the subject is rather warming.
Well, why don't we do this though? Let's join the caller and continue the discussion. We appreciate you sharing with us.
Caller, good.
Yes, sir. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, my friend. How are you today?
Okay, good afternoon, Pastor Allison.
Pastor Allison
yes,
and Pastor Bob. Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, Pastor Allison.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
When it comes to adopting children in the Cayman Islands, right now by law, same-sex couples are able to. And they say that a healthy environment where the children are living is most important when it comes to adoption. So, on Mother's Day, if two men are married and have an adopted child on Mother's Day, who will that child say Happy Mother's Day to?
Good question, my friend.
Yes, and on Father's Day, if two women are married together and have an adopted child, who would that child say Happy Father's Day to? And when it comes to being in overseas territory, if people are worried about the value of the dollar, that will not change. The value of our dollar will not change. What is most important is that our leaders and our government continue to obey the laws of the land. And when it comes to being protected by England in case of a war breaking out, depending on them to defend us. The Bible says in World War III, England and America will be totally destroyed by fire. So depending on them to help us, they will not be able to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that as well. And
I've decided to keep up with the times. I have a phone in front of me, and I have it on silent, but I have my WhatsApp. And someone posted me in reminder that just recently in the state of Massachusetts in America, that some polyamory law was passed, allowing, of course, that means allowing multiple sexual or marriage partners, you know. But here is but this guy did point out something, and I want to use this as a jumping off point. He talked about upholding the rule of law. What His Excellency said in his release, he talked about that the government, and our government here, has an overriding responsibility to uphold the rule of law. Now, what does overriding mean? It means it's the most important, right? Well, from a Christian perspective, that is philosophically wrong. I don't care who utters it. We do not, as Christians, as people, we do not have an overriding responsibility to uphold the rule of law of man. But we do have an overriding responsibility to uphold the rule of God. When Peter and the apostles were confronted by the Sanhedrin and were told that they should no longer preach in the name of Jesus, Peter just put a little question before them, and kind of rhetorically, well, you have to decide whether we should obey God or you. Even though the scripture tells us quite clearly, if you look in the various portions, and some people actually would like them not to be there, to be subject to the authorities, to be subject to even slaves, subject to your masters. People say, why is that in the Bible? Well, it's there. But the point is, you look in Romans chapter 13. Mm-hmm. Well, it's quite clear. But it does not say we have an overriding responsibility or duty, because that overriding responsibility and duty belongs to our obedience, our compliance with the law of God.
All right. Pastors, with that, we'll take the news headlines at 2. When we come back, we'll join some callers, continue discussion. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have, on island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With the lockdown no longer a necessity, the Department of Environment says 171 registered cullers have now resumed their efforts to help stamp out the invasive species. As of July 27, 2020, a total of 92,497 culled iguanas had been registered at the culling station, bringing the total number of iguanas culled since the program began in October of 2018 to 1,216,203. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. A musician in Nigeria's northern state of Kano has been sentenced to death by hanging for blaspheming against the Prophet Muhammad. An upper Sharia court in the Hausawa Filin Hockey area of the state said 22-year-old Yahaya Sharif Aminu was guilty of committing blasphemy for a song he circulated via WhatsApp in March. Mr. Sharif Aminu did not deny the charges, but a judge said he could appeal against the verdict. And there's outrage in Mexico after a black bear seen on video approaching a visitor in a nature park and sniffing her hair was caught and castrated. Some people are questioning plans to move the animal to a different state, but experts say the move is necessary because it had become accustomed to being fed by humans in the ecological park where it lived. They said the footage showed the consequences of feeding wild animals for the sake of a selfie. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. And the executive, as part of the executive of the Cayman Ministers Association, Pastor Bob, Pastor Ebanks, thank you both for joining us. We do have some callers for those who wish to weigh in. Let's remind the numbers again, 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Respectful gentlemen, let's go to the phones and maybe join some callers. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my friend. How are you today?
Not bad. When I speak to some Caymanians, they don't realize that this is going to be taught in our schools. And whenever the discussion about this comes up, one of the things that's asked of me is, well, how does this affect you? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know how the government is planning on handling this, or how the governor is planning on handling this, but he's not going to brainwash my child. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever clash comes as a result of that will come as a result of that. But his perversion is not going to be taught to my children. And you are correct when you raise the issue of Hong Kong. What is the difference between Cayman and Hong Kong? The only difference is in this case, the UK wants to do it to us. It's the only difference. The United Kingdom is one of the most duplicitous countries I have ever read about. This governor does not really appreciate the division that he is about to legislate in the Cayman Islands. The governor has stolen the legislative process from the legislature. The legislature has a margin of appreciation in which it can debate and legislate a shape. Doesn't have to be this one that the governor wants, but it can decide what it should look like. But what has happened is the local government, along with the governor, has decided to take it out of that legislative process because they want it to be as damaging as possible. I hope that they realize what they're doing. The moral decline that's going to come from this is going to be tragic. There are many people who go down the road of identifying and even transitioning, only to find out years later they made a mistake because they're still not happy. And then they end up reversing the process or trying to. Much of their life has been wasted on a fallacy. And it is ridiculous how the government could shut down businesses. People could lose their business because of a virus when the government is following science. And then in this case, they just ignore science.
That's a good point, sir.
It's ridiculous. And what I wish I had 20 or 30,000 people that thought like me, that we could just go out in the streets and we could just let the government know we don't like this. That's what I wish. But people, too many people are too afraid because they see how that group bully people. They try it with me on Facebook. I shut one down this morning over it. They're not going to bully me. If they want to pick a fight with me on it, I'll finish the fight. I am not going to be bullied into believing this nonsense. And the governor thinks that, we're just going to get over it. And division will be, get back to harmony. That's not going to happen. And him and this government is going to be responsible for the division.
All right, man. Appreciate the sentiments, sir. Anything else you want to share? If not, we'll join the other caller.
I have plenty more I can call.
always glad to hear your thoughts. But thank you very much for that. All right, let's go to the other caller. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
Good afternoon. I just like to extend the good afternoon greetings to the two pastors in the studio.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
There's just two quick points I would like to make because I think that they're super important for the continuity of the Caymanian historical views and who we are morally. Number one, the governor is responsible for cabinet, and when the cabinet has something on the agenda, especially as important as this issue in terms of having a vote, the protocol is that the Legislative Assembly and its cabinet and all its members are to vote their conscience. And I know that the governor and the premier were well aware, in fact, would have to consent to vote your conscience on this bill. Now, having that in mind, knowing that our elected officials went into the Legislative Assembly to have this process play out, knowing very well that everybody was allowed to vote their conscience, and we voted down this bill, only for the governor to take it upon his shoulders with no consent of the populace, I can assure you, by making a statement after the bill was voted down. And this is where it gets really important for the Caymanian people, because we can put aside the topic for just a small second, and we can analyze the actions taken by our proverbial colonial master servant who was sent here to oversee us. And for him to make a statement to say that it's a grave day in the Cayman Islands after the fact that we had a democratic process in which was allowed and consented by the governor and the premier, for him to speak on behalf, because if you read that headline in an international arena and you don't know any of the background or the lay of the land of the Cayman Islands, one could easily assume that the governor was speaking for the majority of the people when he said there was a grave day. This is a grave day in the history of the Cayman Islands when legislators failed to uphold whatever human rights laws in which he was referring to. He spoke on behalf of the people, and I can assure you, he didn't knock on Mario Rankin door and ask me if that was my view to get my consent or my family's consent or my extended family's consent. And I can assure him here right now that those are not our views. And the fact that the FCO was so willing, days after, to allow the governor to overshadow and squash our views in a small island nation like the Cayman Islands, who have done nothing but uphold the laws of these lands and done nothing but followed our religious beliefs and were seemingly on a track where, if you look in our history, there is no blood in our history. There is no point in our history where Caymanian people acted like uncivil human beings. And now we have a situation, regardless of what the issue is where the governor, who's only been here for a day and a night, has felt the need to speak on behalf of the people without even consenting or consulting or sitting down and getting the consensus of the people. And then they do it on an international basis because we have this ideology that the rest of the world is moving in a direction in which they feel that we should do the same. And I give great thanks that the Cayman Islands has not adopted some of the behaviors of the rest of the world, because otherwise we would be in serious problems. So I'll just end by simply saying this: is that I've never seen anywhere in history where it's written that the minority can change what the majority has put in place, where it ended up in peaceful harmony and something that we could build on. Because, like Mr. Warren said earlier, if it is in fact going to be taught in our schools, people become products of the environment. They become products of in which you are around. The caller before that mentioned the same-sex unions with a young boy growing up in a family that has two men as a parent figure. In my opinion, and I'm not saying that those persons are not creating a safe and loving environment for that child, but that child is also stripped away from being in a normal environment, because they'll argue that our environment is not normal. But that child is also stripped away from being exposed to having a mother and a father to care for him or to take care of her. And the reality is that child don't have a choice in it. Who's fighting for that child's right? Because he's just been adopted into a situation that he has no control over, and he's being subjected to an ideology that the world has different opinions on. But will he be taught that he could get married to a woman and have biological children of his own? Will he be taught? I mean, they could say, yeah, but how do we know this? Because they fought so hard to get the rights that they think that is owed to them. We can't uphold one right while violating 10 others. And I think that's where we've gone wrong. I think that the governor needs to reposition himself, because he living in the Cayman Islands amongst people who do not share his views. And if you want to maintain good governance, if you want to be a good servant of these lands, go out and talk to our people. You don't go out there and make statements on behalf of our people when the majority of us disagree with you. And I hold him accountable for making that statement, because we now have to deal with it from an international standpoint. We have to deal with it from a local standpoint. And we're having a conversation with two of our ministers in the studio that mean no one no harm. And I was very upset when the governor made the announcement and all the people on social media started to attack the churches, I was really upset about that. Because here they are saying that they're being victimized and they're being, marginalized and all these things and being criticized, but yet they're the first ones to go out there and start criticizing the churches. Like, I wonder what the church is going to be doing this Sunday, praying for I'm like, if it's a victory, if it's a short-term victory for you, enjoy it, but you don't go out criticizing the churches because you offend people who are God-fearing, people who try to live good, people who try to live along certain guidelines. And yes, a lot of us give thanks for the Bible, because had it not been for the Bible, who knows where we would be morally or physically. So I just want to say that I express my appreciation for the two ministers in the studio. Try to shape some rationale. And I have nothing against nobody's preferences in their personal life. What I don't like is when we have a democratic process that is afforded to us through a constitution be trumped by the views and ideology of someone that hasn't even been living in our country for more than 2 years. And that's the governor I'm referring to. You guys have a good day.
Thank you very much. And I certainly would very much believe it would be appropriate for you to ask your response, but beg your indulgence. Got to take a break. Boss is in charge. When we come back, we'll take some more callers and invite the conversation.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Okay. Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Hi, this is Danny Coleman, Director of Hazard Management Cayman Islands. We are now in the hurricane season, and for information on how to prepare and stay safe, please visit our website, www.caymanprepared.ky. Some top tips to bear in mind, given that we are still in the midst of COVID-19. Please make sure you have a mask and sanitizer, you have food supplies to last for 3 to 5 days, a portable radio, personal hygiene and sanitation items, and medical supplies, and any other specific items your family may need during a hurricane. Make sure you know where you will shelter in the event of a storm. If you have pets, please make sure provisions are in place for them too, as the majority of shelters will not take pets. Please visit our website for more tips and tricks on www.caymanprepared.ky or call us on 945-4624. Stay safe, Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us as we invite you to be part of the discussion. Pastor Allison and Pastor Bob, thank you both for sharing with us and to our callers. Gentlemen, if with your indulgence, let's invite a perspective from some of our callers as we continue. Ms. Susan has called her friends. No, just kidding. We got some callers online. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I don't know. So the ministers, especially Pastor Allison, I so wish we were talking about your next musical release. You know, haven't had one in a long time. On and on. We talking about something else we shouldn't be talking about in the Cayman Islands. Convenient democracy. Excellency, sir, you worked with our legislators for months on the COVID issue, and they were a slice of new baked bread to you for all that time. Then when the convenient democracy crept in, sir, Excellency, sir, you refer to them as immature and anything else you could have gotten out of your mouth that was base and hateful. Let me use the word hateful. But I can tell you why you don't understand the terra firma on which you stand. When you're up in your mama house like you're supposed to be up in our mama house, and you begin to tell her no, that's a sign of maturity. They are maturing and maturing very well. It was a slim margin, but 9 still trump 8. Convenient democracy, and when that democracy wasn't where you wanted it to be, then you come with your powers. We only talk about really one power, the generational Caymanians, I call them Gen KY. We only talk about one real power in Cayman Islands, and that's the Lord's power. And a few weeks ago, an early morning preacher said, a mouthful, he said, man can't make right what God calls sin. And that's where we're at. You can legislate and you can legislate, but I'll tell you what, Charlene Pierce don't want this country that I was born and grown into to look like Finland land. We can't describe it because, you know, we got rules and regulations for presentation over the air. But I don't want my country looking like Finland land, and I really wonder what it is, because my gut tells me this isn't finished. And I know you got Argyle out there, and I know we got a Sandhurst graduate, and I can kind of believe it, that I know what that might mean to some extent. But I wonder what it is really that FCO got to throw down on us, that we got to clear this and get this bill going and have this as some sort of protection for whom I want to know. And again, sir, I always understood what was happening when we landed military assets down there in my white sand. They used to have catboats. People on the West Bay Road Peninsula said the ground shook when it was traveling. And I wondered why, in a peaceful country where police are not supposed to really be carrying guns as an everyday affair, why we landed military assets now, we can kind of glimpse and see. But to some of us, sir, the only surprise is what a well-learned Caymanian said, that we are surprised about this. That's the surprise, that we are surprised. But the church is now coming to the Ministers Association, you know, allowing all, but now it's forever silent. Forever silent. I call this now bringing up jigs on it in the back end of this, and I should have been leading this, because Charlie would have had the streets marked off from Friday. They could have had COVID a little more, they would have had to pull the jail. They could have had COVID a little more Sunday morning. Every church should have been on the roadside with 50 people. That's all I got to say. But Mr. Governor, sir, when we say no, that's when we mature, and we said no. Our legislators said what we wanted them to say, told the large part, not my representative. He told me he would be voting yes, and he told me why he would be voting yes. And I consider that democracy. I'm not pleased, very saddened. But he told me, and I took that. I was happy when it was 9-8, because in this case, in this instance, 9 still trumps 8 in this case. And our democracy here in the Cayman Islands is exactly what I know it is, a convenient situation. But as Caymanians, we need to understand that in the Cayman context, democracy does not work for us, and this is an example of how it does not work for us. When we win, we still lose. Anyway, guys, bye.
All right, thank you.
We need a record. We need a record. You write, you produce, you play, you do everything. Don't worry about this stuff, please.
Thank you, Charlene.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Ron. I know we do have some other calls, but we had a few. Perhaps ask him in respect to the callers. Maybe invite some initial commentary again.
Well, I think, Charlene, thank you for your sentiments about records. But the point, the church wasn't silent. We have been very much outspoken. But I guess, and let me say this, one of the things that people need to recognize, when we say the church in Cayman, we seem to have this impression that when people say the church, they're only talking about a few clergy persons. But I want you to know that the church has very been active, and there are a lot of lay people. Without lay people, there would be no church. You can't have a church with just pastors. And maybe the modality, maybe the way in which the church, and I speak collectively now, has responded may not suit some people, but I think we still believe that we need to be law-abiding citizens. But again, our overriding duty and responsibility is God and His Word, and we don't want to be persons who are simply agitating because we don't like this party or don't like that one or whatever it is. It is not that. It's not a personal issue, and I hope people will recognize that. But it's matters of principle. Presumably, His Excellency acted based on what he considered to be a matter of principle. Well, we're talking and we're acting on the basis of what we consider to be a matter of principle. And this principle is anchored on something far more stable than the passing fancy and arbitrary ideas that human beings have. It is anchored on the Word of God. And so we just have to understand that there is nothing, I don't care which court says it, but there is nothing functionally equivalent to a heterosexual marriage. Right? There's nothing functionally equivalent to a heterosexual marriage. Because the very basis for marriage starts with the natural basis that the two heterosexual humans of the opposite sex can actually procreate. And before there was probably any social institution to recognize it, people got together and had children. All right? And so what we have done in societies is we develop this social cohesiveness to protect families and the rules and regulations and saying, okay, this is a child, it's an adult, you can't get married, and so on and so on and so forth. And you can't have these polygamy and on and on and on because it's not in the best interest of families. I mean, even people complain about what's in the Bible. They say, well, okay, this man married his sister and so on and so on. Yeah, but you notice that when the law was given by Moses, a lot of things were said about what kind of relationships would constitute a marriage, based not on ignorance, but on the informed law of God given to us. And I think as a church, we recognize that our position is one that we have to stand for the truth, regardless of the consequences.
Right. If I may then ask, and not with the greatest respect, I think this is a conversation that, as you said, we've been having for a long time and continue to have, but we recognize what the Legislative Assembly did. We understand what has now come down. We gather that the bill and the sort of supporting legislation and its amendments have now been gazetted and the like. Where do we go from here? I mean, this is now fait accompli. It's a done deal, or is it?
I trust that it's not a done deal. This is not a matter of national emergency, and there's no reason why this cannot be withdrawn. I believe that God has not left the human race to wander in oblivion, wondering how they should act, what they should do. And we should not just simply learn from our own experiences. Certain things, if we learn from our own experiences, that would be the last experience we will have.
That's right.
And so God has given us His Word. He has shown us in His Word. He has designed a system, a man and a woman, to have children, to raise children. And any time we depart from that, we are entering into uncharted territory. And that experience that we would try to reverse would be irreversible.
Right. If I can ask, and forgive me for extending the invitation publicly to you individually, but to the organization as well, to come back on for this dialogue. Once the legislation is published or the bills are published, there's usually a 21-day consultation period. The document we call a constitution, some refer to as administrative document, makes provision for certain things to transpire. Those we utilize, and now this is going to be law because the reserve powers exist. That is what we understand to be the political process. So again, I ask, with that having transpired, is this now not what's going to happen? I mean, what more is there to happen?
Well, Sterling, the reality is several years ago, a couple different instances, we built a gallows, spent a lot of money to build a gallows, and then the United Kingdom said, no, you don't kill people, even if they have been found guilty of murder, etc., etc. So we reconfigured the building with the gallows, and we still use it for something. And then a little later on, again, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, I guess, the United Kingdom decided, we must remove from the laws in the Cayman Islands the law that outlawed homosexuality. Right. But just because homosexuality is legal doesn't make it right. And so we from the church's position, we have to speak about what is right and what is wrong. Whether what is right and wrong is put in some little jar or another that says legal or illegal. And so we try to inform ourselves as to what is legal and illegal as well. But I mean, we don't want to get a position where we deal with constitutional anarchy, where the church is supporting anarchy, because that's not in the best interest of anybody. But we have to call people to pay attention to what's going on, because he who founded us upon the seas and has kept us here when we were being ignored by everybody, we found out that actually being ignored and bypassed was not a bad thing. About 100 years ago, when you had the what they call the Spanish flu, the swine flu, that epidemic that killed probably 50 to 100 million people. One reason why the Cayman Islands was spared was because there's a war going on, and people didn't want to be traveling between Cayman and any place else in the world, and so we were isolated. But we survived. We didn't have one case of anybody in Cayman dying from the swine flu or the Spanish flu 101 years ago. So our isolation served us well. I don't believe that God isolates us. We're still protected and known by Him. Yeah. I was praying that our leaders, all of us, will be people who continue to pray for and support our country.
When we pick up the discussion again, I hope we'll be able to very soon. The two examples you gave were indicative that the UK said, listen, we're going to make this thing this way. As it did with removing the gallows and legalizing homosexuality, it has now done as the administrative power. We have the authority, we're going to do this, and they have now done what they said should happen. So with those two examples, with this one, where are we?
Right. I think when you look back at it, in a sense, this was something that I was sort of mooting before we went on there. I call it the Cayman psyche. That which is, quintessentially Caymanian is that we are not an aggressive, assertive people. There are a lot of nationalities, a lot of groups that are very vocal, very loud, and in your face right away. That is not Caymanian. And that does not serve us very well at times. We've sit back and we want a few folks to speak up for us, and then we go and cry in the corner maybe. But the time has come for us, to stand up, all of us as Caymanians, and say this is not acceptable.
Yeah, we are living in a day when internationally people feel that if you say something long enough and loud enough, it makes it true. Some people say the voice of the majority is the voice of God. And if everybody is doing a particular thing, that makes it right. It does not make it right. And we have to realize that one day, every single human being will stand before Almighty God, even those in authority. Right. They will have to answer to God for the way they have administered their authority. And we do want to go on record to say that for people to go against the very clear teachings of Scripture, especially in this area, we see where the twin cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, they were completely destroyed because of homosexuality. We believe righteousness exalts a nation. We believe that we have not come here only by political astuteness. We thank God for the political leadership we've had down through the years. But God's hand of blessing is resting upon our nation, and we should not try to use God conveniently, to pray when we need help, and when things are going good, to ignore Him. No one uses God conveniently.
Right.
If you permit me one final word, Dwayne. I was raised in West Bay, and I grew up in a time of, in a sense, isolation a bit and innocence in Cayman. We were safe, basically, for kids to go out of the home, to play anywhere out through the neighborhood. Life was, I went to West Bay today, and I went in a neighborhood that I used to wander around as a kid. Things have changed, and we've welcomed, with open arms, we've welcomed people from all around the world. That Cayman-kind mentality has been there. But I've seen so many negative changes in Cayman that I wonder where I can really retire to now when I finish my. I know pastors don't retire; we just die. But I can retire to where I can feel. But let me quit that and say, I cannot retire from my conviction as a Caymanian that what we're standing for, not what against, we're standing for the natural family. The family that is biblically and scientifically supported. Every other configuration is nonsense. And it grieves me that we feel it's necessary to allow people to have the right for the Constitution to be devolved down to them to decide what is now right. That's a significant decline
in democracy. All right. Pastors, thank you to our listeners who were not able to join us. We appreciate you calling in. Accept our apologies for not being able to engage you this time around. But let's have this dialogue again, and let's see where we can go.
The caller here, Sterling. I don't know how often I want to be that, but thank you for the invitation.
Hey, listen, passion is a good thing when embraced and celebrated. Huh? Gentlemen, thank you all very much. Ms. Susan, thank you
and
again.
God bless you. God bless you, and God bless Radio Cayman and the staff and these islands. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, to our leadership in the families and in the communities, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Huh? All right. Come back tomorrow for more talk after the midday news and midday meditation. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.